It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Sheff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. There are many fabulous sites all throughout West Bloomfield, but among those destinations is a place where plants are the biggest stars. The award-winning Plantera Conservatory attracts consumers from across the globe for plant features for offices, homes, and more. And our very own Kevin McIntosh has the story.
I'm here at Plantera, where a lush botanical escape sits just minutes away from downtown West Bloomfield. It's a family-run venue unlike any other, and it's capturing the imagination of event planners and guests alike. I went to speak to the staff to see what makes this venue unique and the value it brings to West Bloomfield.
Well, every element of the architecture of the conservatory, from the gabion stone archway to the koi ponds, the custom pavers, and the European trusses, they all transport couples to a unique place in time that is distinct to Plantera and different from other event spaces in the region.
Backed by decades of horticultural expertise, the Pliska family and their team ensure every detail reflects their mission, creating unforgettable experiences rooted in nature right here in West Bloomfield.
You know, the Pliska family has been part of the community for over 40 years out of this property. You know, we are a community that's racially, ethnically diverse. We're an inclusive company. It's important to us. Also, the family has partnered with many cultural and kind of community organizations over the years.
As an establishment with a well-known reputation, Creative Director and Vice President David DiVincenzo tells us more about how Plantera accommodates guests from near and far.
About 90% of our couples have guests coming into town from someplace. Many couples were raised here. Now they're kind of coming back home for weddings. Some are from the Midwest with no connection to Detroit other than us. So we need venues for hotels. We kind of connect them with wedding vendors. So we're definitely kind of extending our business into local communities, supporting businesses. 90% are local. About 2/3 are either women-owned or person of color-owned that we partner with.
Inside, you're surrounded by rare botanicals, serene koi ponds, and a design that honors nature while elevating every celebration. Sol Maria Gray, event operations specialist, further elaborates on what makes the conservatory unlike any other venue.
The conservatory is unlike any other venue in the Midwest. And while we are a venue, we're also a full-service team of designers, stylists, culinary artisans, and event experts. From florals and bespoke decor to distinctive menu and signature cocktails, we curate every element with precision and artistry. Our process is seamless, allowing couples to be fully immersed in every moment, stress-free and present.
Plantera isn't just a venue, it's a living, breathing experience from architecture to atmosphere. For the West Bloomfield community and beyond, it offers a chance to connect, celebrate, and recharge, surrounded by the beauty of nature. From Plantera in West Bloomfield, I'm Kevin McIntosh, Civic Center TV.
Appreciate Kevin going out and getting that story. Such a beautiful place for whatever you need it to be. And if you want to see a little more information, you can visit plantera.com to learn more and to book. We're all ready for what's to come throughout this summer. Yard sale season is in effect, and this weekend, Spirit of Grace Church is hosting a community yard sale on May 31st, rain or shine. The event runs from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with vendor setup starting at 9 a.m. Community members are invited to participate by renting tables for $15 each. Now, tables are limited and will be available while supplies last, or they can bring their own for a reduced fee of $10 per table. Gently used items, excluding clothing, can also be donated for the church to sell, with proceeds supporting their community outreach. Such a great event to help a lot of people. And if you want to learn a little more info about this event, you can check it out on their Facebook page at Spirit of Grace to learn more. The Kego Harbor Beautification Awards for 2025 are now open for the month of June. This call to action invites community members to recognize and celebrate the most beautifully maintained properties and landscapes in Kego Harbor. The cheerful and floral-themed announcement encourages residents to take part in honoring those who contribute to the city's charm and aesthetic appeal. Whether it's a well-kept yard, a stunning garden, or an overall attractive property, the city is looking for standout locations that deserve recognition for their efforts in enhancing the community's beauty. You can learn a little more about the Beautification Awards on the SoKego Facebook page to learn more about how to submit something for this incredible award. Tonight, the West Bloomfield class of 2025 bids farewell to high school and heads off to the next phase of their lives. The ceremony is taking place tonight at Pine Knob Music Theater in Clarkson, and Civic Center TV will be capturing all of the action. We will be live streaming the ceremony on all of our channels, both Civic Center TV and WBTV, and we will also be live on our website, as well as Facebook, on both the Civic Center and West Bloomfield School District Facebook pages. Now, if you want to see the graduation on our website, you can just head to civiccentertv.com/WBHS graduation 25 to watch the ceremony live, or you can scan the QR code that is currently on our screen. One more time, that website is civiccentertv.com/WBHS graduation 25 to see the ceremony live. The event is scheduled to begin at 6 o'clock tonight on all channels. And if you can't check out the ceremony tonight, have no fear. The whole event will be recorded and available for Civic Center TV on demand. But best of luck to every single one of these students as they head off to college. Now, as the school year comes to an end in Greater West Bloomfield, that means that the seniors who've been making such an impact all year long are heading off to the next phase of their lives. And one person making that jump is someone who's been a notable help for the entire West Bloomfield School District and has been their photographer for many of the district's high-profile events. I'm talking, of course, about Ari Saperstein, who recently spoke with us on the Splash Live to talk about his time working with the West Bloomfield School District. Ari, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Jake.
Absolutely. Really happy to have you with us. And we've crossed paths quite a bit from some of the big events that have taken place throughout the West Bloomfield School District as of late. And you've been there capturing all of the magic as their photographer. What first sparked your interest in photography, and how did that evolve during your time at West Bloomfield High School?
For me, photography has always been a thing of how can I document things and preserve things for the future. And a perfect way of doing that, especially in the high school environment, is that many of these students do these activities and are never seen for them. So being able to highlight them in a way that's it shows them in a better light, I think is very important. And I think that's why it draws me to photography.
Awesome. That's certainly right. Lots of big moments that happen every single day throughout the high school experience. And if you're watching on Civic Center TV right now, you can see some of the photos that Ari has taken throughout his time with the West Bloomfield School District, all of which look incredible. What was your most memorable photo assignment or project as a student photographer, and why does it stand out to you?
I think the biggest one is covering football for 2 seasons. It's about a 6-month photo project for both seasons. Spending countless hours at practices, every game, just hanging out with the team and capturing every moment, showing that these students aren't just athletes, but they also have camaraderie, and everything off the field is what I cover. And I think for me, it was the most rewarding experience, and I'm very proud of my work from the football season.
You should be very proud. And looking at every single one of these photos, you can see just like you can read the lines of what's taking place in these photos. You can see the emotions. You can see the feelings of unity throughout every single one of these students. And it's such a great thing to see. And Ari, how did your photography work impact your connection to the school community?
For me, I tell people this all the time. It's like a passport to everything. I can go from out on a football field to the theater to community events, and it allows me to do so much and relate to the community in a different way than just, many of these students just play a sport. But for me, I'm able to hop around and it's not very stagnant. Um, and I think it's impacted me in the way of I get to see a lot, and then I can make my opinions around things that I see.
That's right. And I think it's safe to say that with a position like this, no 2 days are exactly the same. You're always seeing something different every single day. And with a job like this, I'd imagine you've had some help along the way. Did you have any mentors, like teachers or advisors or peers, who've helped shape your creative path?
The biggest network I've had is other photojournalists. A big one that is I consider my mentor is Jake May. He's the staff photographer at M Live in Flint. And so oftentimes it's a matter of getting on a Zoom call with him and going through my work, and he breaks it down. Hey, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? And just learning from others is important, and not just relying on friends and family to let you know that, they'll always tell you that your work is good. So someone that can criticize you and make sure that you're putting your best foot forward for the next day, I think is really important.
That's right. That constructive criticism is crucial as you want to be, as you want to learn how to grow, and you want to have something that you can use to propel yourself to the next level. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with the West Bloomfield School District's student photographer, Ari Saperstein, talking about his experiences as the student photographer for the school district as he's leaving West Bloomfield and heading off to college for the 2025 year. Now, Ari, how do you think your time behind the camera has helped you grow, not just as an artist, but as a person?
For me, I think, and I expressed this a little bit earlier, was that it allows me to see so much. And that's a really, really valuable thing that I've been able to see. Obviously, no one has the same background that we all have. And to highlight people's backgrounds, to learn from people's backgrounds, has allowed me to become much more open-minded about people. And I think it's a valuable thing that I've been able to take out of my photography.
I love that. And those are very powerful things to take with you as you're heading off to the next level, as you're heading off to college. What are your college plans, Ari? And do you intend to continue pursuing photography in any way?
So next year I'll be attending Michigan State University for packaging. I know packaging is not a photography degree, but I do plan on continuing it in some capacity, whether that's working potentially for the state news, or working for another publication, doing a similar thing that I did for West Bloomfield.
Nice. Michigan State, an amazing school, an alumni of our very own Tyler Kieft, of course, and an alumni of some members of my family, including my sibling Freddie. Great. Best of luck to you in that. And I do have a question. What advice would you give to other students at West Bloomfield High School who are interested in exploring photography or creative arts?
My big thing is just get out there and just do it. For me, it was a matter of just getting a hold of a camera and just starting to photograph, and then I figured it out from there. The benefit is we have so many opportunities at our high school, and we're such a large program that you can just hop in anywhere, and people want photos. So just go take photos, go learn. If they're not great, they'll get better, and just get out there and continue doing it.
That's right. All it takes is just a little bit of exposure. See what he did there? But Ari, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live. I got one more quick question before we wrap things up. Looking back at your time with West Bloomfield High School, what will you miss most, and what are you most excited about going forward?
I think the biggest thing I'll miss is all the relationships and connections I've made through my work. It's allowed me to, be in a wide range of situations, whether it's on a football team or behind the scenes for theater. And a lot of those kids tend not to mix, but for me, it was a matter of, I became friends with a lot of them and close with a lot of them. So all the relationships and connections I've built related to around my work is when I'm going to miss. And then as far as the future, I'm just going to continue to take that same mindset, right? Just taking, building relationships related to my work, and continuing to explore the world through photography.
Well, I can't wait to see what's to come in the future. Ari, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Ari's done a lot of great things for the West Bloomfield School District, and we wish him, as we wish all of the seniors, the best of luck as they're taking the next step to college and beyond. So best of luck to Ari. Can't wait to see what he does in the future. Information is gathered every single day to help make Oakland County communities even greater. A brief 10 to 15-minute survey was designed to gather public input on housing and neighborhood priorities in Oakland County. The feedback from that survey has directly influenced how federal funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development are used locally. Khadijah Walker-Fobbs, the Officer of Neighborhood and Housing Development for Oakland County, recently spoke with Kevin McIntosh to explain how this information will be properly utilized.
Thank you for being here, Khadijah.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
And it's an honor to have you as well. Getting straight into it, I want to ask you, or at least note the fact that the survey has officially closed. But with that being said, how will the results of this year's Community Needs Survey specifically impact neighborhoods within our greater West Bloomfield area specifically?
Absolutely. So when we garnered the feedback, which this year we had probably the highest response ever on record. We had about almost 1,600 responses countywide for this needs assessment survey that we use. And how it will be used is we take the feedback and the priorities that our residents throughout the county and also within the local municipalities in terms of what their priorities of focus are. And that will be embedded into how we make decisions around how the funding will be allocated. And so for West Bloomfield specifically, my team was able to pull up some of the responses that we received, and we had pretty great representation actually from West Bloomfield. We had near 80 people who responded to give feedback on what some of the priorities were for them for this next coming program year in terms of what they would like to see as focus areas for the federal funding. That federal funding is through the Community Development Block Grant and the Home Investment Partnerships. And so provides things like sidewalk infrastructure. We do public service works. And so I know West Bloomfield has historically supported their senior center. You know, we do improvements to libraries, streetscapes, all of those things. And so in West Bloomfield, it was interesting because we had the majority of respondents say that infrastructure improvements was a critical and a high need. So the two highest responses around infrastructure improvements. And I will say that historically, West Bloomfield has made an investment in their sidewalks and removal of barriers to make things more accessible for residents in parks. And so that's definitely been a focus locally for West Bloomfield. And then also survey respondents in West Bloomfield let us know that they thought that housing assistance to low-income families was extremely important. And that was something that should be focused on, as well as reducing homelessness came up very high in the survey by West Bloomfield residents as a priority for how we need to utilize and look at funding. So those are just pulling out some of those key highlights.
No, thank you for that again, Khadijah. That's a mouthful, but ultimately a lot of great information that I'm just learning. I'm pretty sure our audience is just learning as well when it comes to some of the results from this survey as well. And it's an example of what you were talking about, improving some of our sidewalks and our streets and things. That's going on right now, right on Orchard Lake. Some of our sidewalks are being improved. There's some construction there. So great example of how some of our local input is being literally put into practice right now. Now, since we're talking about Oakland County, which is a collage of different people, different backgrounds, and West Bloomfield is a microcosm as that as well. What steps are being taken to ensure that residents from all different diverse backgrounds and income levels have a voice in this planning process?
Absolutely. It's a fantastic question. And so this year, like I said, we had one of the highest responses ever on record from the survey. And I really credit it to strategic outreach to make sure that people were represented in various sectors, various parts of the county, and that we actually had a staff person dedicated to getting out to senior centers, libraries, hospitals, everywhere we could think of to make sure we were distributing the survey, and that we provided not only hard copy paper forms for people who might not have access to technology, but there was also a QR code that was posted in a lot of public spaces where somebody who does have access to technology could just go right from their mobile phone and respond. And we saw that this approach worked because, like I said, this was the highest response countywide. And so we did have a great representation throughout all of Oakland County, rural and urban pockets, to this survey, and have that feedback that will be utilized and put together in our annual action plan when we submit it to HUD this year, taking in consideration those priorities from residents throughout our county. But really a lot of effort made to make sure that senior centers, libraries, city halls, hospital waiting rooms, anywhere else we could think of, we were making sure to get this distributed.
Right. Like you said, to accommodate residents from the highest scale to lowest scale, big, all around, essentially, just making sure all voices are heard from, the oldest to the youngest in our communities. Now, with that being said, also, even considering some of the people who may not be homeowners currently, how can students, young adults, renters in our community get involved in shaping our neighborhood's future through this initiative, for an example?
Yeah, another wonderful question. So first of all, the survey is for 18 and older. So I just want to put that qualifier out there for adults. And we also wanted to make sure, I'll be honest, like early on, we were kind of heavy on those who were homeowners responding. So our staff person, who's our community liaison, made some strategic efforts to make sure that the survey, once again, was distributed in pockets where there's a lot of people who are renting, places and spaces where people are renting, to get that feedback. But it is really important for people to know that this exists. It happens every year, and it is to give the community a voice. And we want to make sure that we are hearing from those who are renting, because we know there's a huge need for housing options, diverse housing options that include affordable rental units for young families and young adults who are starting their working career. And that is something that this division has been strategically focused on making investments in. And it comes from the feedback of people saying, hey, this is something that Oakland County needs. It's expensive to live in Oakland County. We need more options. And so we've made a lot of very strategic investments, even in the last couple years, to support the development of rental units and multifamily units.
Good. And I love to hear that too, because not everyone is a current homeowner, and we already know that the access to even own a home nowadays has widened since, a few decades ago. So just trying to accommodate those who may be renting currently or even aspire to own, giving them those options and opportunities is well done by Oakland County. And with me right here, live on the Splash, by the way, from Oakland County Neighborhood and Housing Development, we have Officer Khadijah Walker-Fobbs talking about the survey for the U.S. Department of HUD funds for Oakland County communities, how they will affect us, and what we can do in regards to our feedback. And with that being said, let's just talk about that. So the survey has officially closed, but we also want to talk about the opportunity that people may actually have to still kind of give their input. So how can the feedback from the survey and public comment affect the future of local communities? For an example, under West Bloomfield's master plan, which is actually kind of being constructed now as well.
Yeah, it's once again, fantastic questions. We want involvement from the community. We want to hear voice. So with the survey closing on Friday, there will be a public hearing held on May 27th, Tuesday, May 27th at 4:00 here at our offices at the Oakland County Health and Human Services Division, 1200 North Telegraph Road. There will be a public hearing to take any feedback or questions that residents have, and we encourage participation. And also there's a public comment period. So if you're not able to come out at that time, that's okay. You can still submit your comments to nhd@oakgov.com or call us. We will record those comments. They will be documented. Those public comments are submitted as well with the annual action plan as part of the overall picture to make sure we're capturing input, we're capturing voice. So we encourage residents, submit your comments, participate in the process. Public comments will be open until June 11th. So there's time. Like I said, it'll open on May 27th.
Okay.
We'll be taking those comments until June 11th, and we encourage people to be part of the process of making your voice heard. That is the whole purpose of the process, how we're doing the work, and making sure that we're shaping things in a way that serves people with their priorities and what they need.
Yep, and that's why we're doing our part here at Civic Center TV as well, which is being the channel to get that information out to our audience and local community as well. Don't want to hold you up too much longer. Couple things I want to know. One, just for perspective, I don't even know if you're able to answer this, but how soon can residents expect to see some of those changes and new initiative as a result of this survey and public comment?
Yeah, so we will be going through the process of submitting our plan to HUD. And so once we collect the feedback, there's a process that goes through our Board of Commissioners. We submit it to HUD, we wait for approval, and it usually takes about 6 months from the time of our submission, which will be in the end of June, early July, where funding is released and we start enacting the plans that each of the local municipalities have submitted to the county as their priorities. So West Bloomfield has already submitted an application for last year. That included, like I said, the senior services, the sidewalks, the removing architectural barriers within the parks. And so each city really is able to dictate some of those priorities for the community on the funding. So once we get approval for our next funding round, we basically work with the local municipalities. West Bloomfield would be telling us, this is what residents have told us, and this is how we would like to apply the funding to use, our community development block grant dollars. And, we're just here countywide to make sure we're supporting our local municipal units with the process and compliance and all those fun things. So
yeah,
so that's pretty quick.
Yep.
Like next year, you would see things being put in place. And like I said, I know that senior services has always been a focus, which is important. And then on a larger scale, you had a great question about the rental units and some of the investments we've made. We don't have one specifically right now. West Bloomfield would love to see one come. So if there's any developers or nonprofits interested, come talk to me. But we have made a huge investment in over 1,008, almost 1,100 units just in the last year and a half of housing throughout the county. And we've made a strategic investment to make sure that we have great projects that are going to catalyze neighborhoods. It's going to offer more rental options for people as well as home ownership options for people. And there's some just exciting projects that are going to be breaking ground this summer. So I want to make sure I'm elevating that, because when you talk about community voice, that is in response to community voice. That is in response to the needs that we're seeing throughout the county, that such a significant investment has been made by the county to make sure that we are supporting the development of these types of projects.
Right.
So can't not lift that up.
Of course. And I'm glad you took the time to talk about that as well. And while we do have you, any additional information that we did not discuss that you want to let our audience know about before we let you go?
Well, I guess basically, I think I would like to just leave with the fact that that we are very committed to making sure and ensuring that families, young people, seniors have safe and stable housing options. We know that Oakland County, it can be very expensive to live in, but we want people to be able to live where they work. And so that is key. Or age in place if you're in your retirement years. And so I think what I'd like to leave residents with is just knowing that as a county, this division and the county as a whole, the county leadership is committed to ensuring that there are great options for people to create thriving neighborhoods, to make sure people can stay in their homes, they can find homes, and that we offer a diverse array of options that are going to fit the needs of our residents, because we know our residents are diverse. And so we need to make sure there's lots of choices and options. And so it is a priority. It is a focus. We've put our money where our mouth is. We've made investments, and we want people's feedback. So we do encourage people to go ahead and share your feedback. Make sure you're participating in this annual survey. Participate in the public comments. We want to hear from you.
Please do your part. Or, hey, I mean, don't complain if, you know, the changes that you want aren't made, because you had the opportunity. But we want to thank you so much again for your time, for your information. Once again, Oakland County's Neighborhood and Housing Development Officer, Khadijah Walker-Fobbs. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
As we always say on this show, every person's voice is important, and you can see right now just how those voices matter. So we really appreciate Khadijah taking the time to talk with us here on The Splash Live. And we're just getting started on the show today. Plenty of other big topics and guests to get into right after this quick commercial break. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Find us on Instagram at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Recently, the final signing day of the 2024-25 school year for West Bloomfield High School recently took place, where 11 dedicated and determined student athletes made their college commitments official. And I was on site to capture all of the excitement.
I mean, it feels good. You know what I'm saying? I worked my way up all 4 years of high school. Nothing was easy. Just put my head down and work. So being able to go to Adrian College is just a reliever that I got out of high school, and now I'm in the NCAA to make a next big step. I just want to really thank all my coaches, family, friends, teammates, most importantly, even my teachers. They all helped me in any way, shape, or form to get to the next level.
It's a very great feeling. All the hard work paid off, and so I'm glad I got to sign with some of my friends. I got four baseball players signed with me, so it was a great experience to sign with them, and it's just a great opportunity. I'm very thankful for it.
We're still talking about the incredible success of all of the former Lakers that had their NFL dreams come true. Do you think that serves as a big indicator of what's possible at the next level?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody knows here. You know, they see what's going on at the next level, and they see how well our student athletes are achieving at the next level, whether it's football and seeing them play on Saturdays or the other sports that we have. We have baseball players that are doing extremely well, basketball players everywhere. Everywhere you look up and down, it seems like there's Lakers playing for their colleges. And if you go in front of our athletic office and you see our board of current athletes that are on college rosters, and that's right now they're on college rosters, we have 97 of them up there.
Wow.
And that's amazing when you think about it, because that's 4 or 5 years. The last 4 or 5 years, we're putting out that many people, and 27 more this year.
It definitely pushes people. It makes people more aggressive in a positive way, that they want to push themselves, they want to push their teammates, they want to push pretty much anybody that they can, even themselves, to make them better in whatever context they can.
Yeah, just seeing that just shows what West Bloomfield athletics can do for you and are helping you, just like what you said, Maxwell Harrison being a first round. That just shows that West Bloomfield athletics are a very good place. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say we got a lot of guys, younger guys who've left already here in college. We're all doing big things. We got a great coaching staff, people who really want to be around us as far as football and just personal. So I would say, yeah, it's going to definitely be a big increase in just college enrollment, NFL, anything that athletes want to anything that athletes want to do, the coaches will help.
What would you say is the biggest trait these young athletes can take with them to achieve this Maxwell Hairston level of success in their professional field?
Yeah, they have dreams. All of them have dreams, but they need to have a plan on how to achieve that dream. And they had part of that plan going through high school right now. Now they need to adjust that plan a little bit, keep on working, keep on building, keep on making a better version of themselves, but most importantly, keep on believing in themselves.
Man, I can't wait to see what every single one of these athletes does at the next level and hopefully beyond. But big congratulations to every single one of them for everything they've been able to accomplish. With summer just around the corner, everyone is getting ready to head back out to the water and prepare for prime swimming season. But if you have a young child who's unfamiliar with the water, now is a very important time to get a head start on those ever important swimming lessons. And Goldfish Swim School in West Bloomfield is here to help these little swimmers along the way. Joining me now on the Splash Live is the pool operations manager for Goldfish Swim School, Caitlin McDowell. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us today. I'm so excited to talk about water safety.
Absolutely. It's such an important conversation to have for everybody to keep in mind. And Caitlin, with summer around the corner, why is now the ideal time for parents to prioritize swim lessons for their children?
Well, it's always important to be actively involved with swim lessons, no matter if it's wintertime or summer. But with summer around the corner, our drowning statistics do go up. People are feeling more confident or getting distracted while their little ones are swimming. And by taking swim lessons, we reduce the drowning risk by 88%, and that is huge.
And yeah, that's absolutely right. Lots of things and very important time for everybody to be getting those lessons in. I got my lessons in when I was very, very young. I always like to tell people I learned how to swim before I learned how to walk. And it certainly paid off in the long run. But Caitlin, what would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions you tend to hear from parents about when their child should start swim lessons?
The biggest one that we hear is they're too young to start swim lessons. A lot of people don't realize our babies are naturally aquatic. So they already have some skills that they have built up since they've been in the mommy's tummy. And what we want to do is break the bad habits, break some of those tendencies they have starting at 4 months old and start building healthy, strong, and safety with our young ones. So just because they're crying in the pool doesn't mean they're not ready for swim lessons. It means it's something new. And what we are going to do is build up that confidence and make sure that they love to be in the water by practicing those water safety skills.
That's absolutely right. Safety, you just said, is one of the key words everyone should be keeping in mind, as drowning incidents have taken quite a bit of an upspike in Michigan fairly recently. So what key skills would you say are taught early on that can make a huge difference in preventing water-related accidents like drowning?
So we really focus on how to properly hold our breaths, how to breathe through our nose when we go underwater. We do that with our progressions. We don't just dunk our children. We get them prepared. We practice little things. We have fun little games. Getting them comfortable on their back. That's something easy we can be practicing at home in bath time along with the pool. What I love about swim lessons, when we're practicing these water safety skills, especially for our little ones, 4 months to 2 years, 3 years of age before they go on their own with a swim instructor, we're connecting a bond with the parent and the child and also educating the parents how to be practicing these skills at home. The most important thing is getting used to water in our ears. That's very uncomfortable for our little ones, but we do it in a fun way where they start to relax in the water.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Kids, I mean, I remember when I was a young kid, like those kind of things definitely caught me by surprise. And it took a little while to get used to some of those sensations, but just a little bit of practice and taking the time and making it fun, that's all kids want. And that's what parents should be looking for. Now, for parents who may be hesitant to enroll toddlers or infants in swim lessons, what would you say to help maybe ease some of their concerns?
Well, the first thing is definitely for our infants and early toddlers, the parents can be in the water with them, which is a great bonding experience between the mama and baby or dad, or maybe it's a grandparent or aunt and uncle. It's a great bonding experience. And we're also letting our babies be very sociable. So this is a great time. And our experts here at Goldfish, our mini teachers, they really work with the parents, not just the children, but the parents, and let them know how we can get them more comfortable. I can't speak highly more enough. I wish I would have had my child in swim lessons when he was a little baby, because that would have gave us so much more opportunities to practice those water safety skills.
Well, hey, it's great that Goldfish is providing all of these opportunities for these kids. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Pool Operations Manager for Goldfish Swim School in West Bloomfield, Caitlin McDowell, talking about the importance of getting these young kids ready and in the water to prepare themselves for summer and for swimming season. Now, Goldfish tailors its lessons to accommodate children at very different skill levels. These can be kids who have never been in the water before, or those who've had quite a lot of experience but haven't quite mastered things yet. How would you say you properly tailor things, especially for those who may be nervous or have had very little exposure to the water?
So here at Goldfish, we believe in progressions. We never believe in just putting the child in and expecting them to know. So we break down each individual skill. So whether it's pulls and kicks, we break it down by just working on kicks first, or just working on those arms, getting them comfortable. We want our children to move up at the speed that their parents want, but also their comfortability. So when we are doing our swim lessons, we individualize each lesson to each individual child on what their needs are.
I like that. All great things for everybody to be keeping in mind. And as we've talked about a little bit, you like to make things fun out in the water. You like to make things fun for everybody at Goldfish. How would you say you properly incorporate fun and play into swim lessons while still keeping the focus on safety and skill development?
Well, our curriculum was designed by a pediatric specialist, and we came up with this amazing concept of science of swim play. Children learn best when we are playing and making it fun. So as we're teaching them these life-saving skills, these important water safety skills, we add songs and we add little games to them, and we celebrate little things such as, let's see if we can kick like a dolphin today. Let's see if we can dig up gold. We want to make it fun for the kids while practicing those skills.
I love that. All great things for there's something for every kid to take away from there's something different for every kid to take away from their time at Goldfish Swim School. But what would you say is the most important thing that every parent takes away from their experience with Goldfish Swim School?
I think it's the consistency. When the parents are consistent with their children coming to swim school, even if it's a beautiful day and it's 85 degrees and you'd rather be at the lake, these lessons are tailored for 30 minutes. And by just staying consistent, coming in, spending that 30 minutes in our lesson, practicing those water safety skills, and then going to the beach or the pool afterwards and enjoying outdoors, we're ensuring our kids the safety. We're giving them confidence, and we're making sure that they're competent of those water safety skills.
Always love to hear it. Well, Caitlin, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Splash Live today. But I got one more quick question for you before we let you go. Where can people go to gain a little more information about what people can expect with Goldfish Swim School and possibly signing up for maybe some classes?
Yeah, you can call us at any time. We would love to answer any questions, find the day and time that works best for you. You can also go on our website and fill out a little information and then look at our classes based on what your kids' skill levels are.
I love that. There's the website right there on your screen, www.goldfishss.com. That's where you can go to gain all the information and to get your little ones ready in the water and ready in time for summer. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you for having me, and I hope everyone has a safe summer.
I hope so too, and I hope a lot of kids make a splash of their own in the water this summer. And we really appreciate having all of this information at the ready for the parents to make sure their kids get ready in a very safe manner. Plenty of other topics and plenty of other stories to get into right here on the Splash Live, and we're going to jump into it right after this break. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from Sylvan Lake, Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. Missed one of our live broadcasts or one of your local municipal meetings? Check it out online at civiccentertv.com. Every meeting, show, and interview on demand. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
I'm Gina Gregory, president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. I'm excited that Civic Center TV has reached 1 million views on YouTube. Congratulations. That's just terrific. We appreciate everything Civic Center does for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and the community. For us, they promote and highlight our events. It's awesome to have them available 24/7 on YouTube. I'm Gina Gregory and proud to be one in a million.
So much is happening in your community. Join Jake, Tyler, and Kevin for local events and developments on the Splash Live, weekdays at 10 a.m. on CivicCenterTV.com, YouTube, and Facebook.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Sheff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. As we've been talking about all throughout the show today, with graduation on the horizon, it's going to be a great feeling to see a lot of kids take the next step in their careers. But it also makes you think about the recent success of people like Makari Page or Donovan Edwards, and of course, Maxwell Hairston. All West Bloomfield High School alumni who've recently had their dreams come true of making it into the NFL. It brings a lot of emotion to the surface, especially for those who've seen these incredible athletes at the very beginning. One of those people who's had a big jump to the college level himself is Ron Bellamy, a former NFL player himself who was the former head coach of West Bloomfield football and is now a wide receivers coach and pass game coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines. And he joins us right now on the Splash Live. Ron, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I am very, very excited to be getting into this conversation because you had a first-hand look at the early development of all the players I just said: Donovan Edwards, Makari Page, Max Hairston, even Javon Foster, who got drafted last year. What stood out about their character and work ethic all the way back in high school?
Those guys, first and foremost, before I talk about their, athletic attributes, really good people, great families, miss them dearly, being around them daily. Their constant, mindset of just making other people around them better. They understood that the more competitive we made our environment, the better they were going to be, the better their teammates were going to be. But just awesome people. And, I'm really, truly blessed for them and, happy for them and for for their blessings.
That's right. You should be very, very proud of yourself to see all of the work that these guys have done in making it into the NFL. And each of these players took a very unique path to get to where they are. Could you share what you remember most about their growth journeys and what set them apart, even all the way back when they were teenagers?
Yeah, it's a common denominator, right? With all the guys is they believed. They came to West Bloomfield. You know that you're going to get a great education. You know that you're going to compete at the highest level, and you're going to have people that's going to support you in all your endeavors. And each one of those young men, they chase greatness, and right now they're reaping the rewards.
That's right. Each and every one of them is off to a great start, and we can't wait to see what's to come from them as they begin their NFL journeys. Now, when you made the jump over to Michigan College, you continued working with a couple of these players as they also made their way to Michigan College, including Donovan Edwards, who in particular made a very big name for himself when he was at Michigan. Did you always see that dual threat personality from somebody like him?
Yeah, I was myself and a couple of coaches at West B. We've had the kids since middle school. We were middle school basketball coaches. So I was always around Donovan. When I did my student teaching, I was around him in elementary school. So Donovan and I have always had a strong relationship. And, it's going to be weird this upcoming fall because it's going to be the first time that we have not been on the same team in 10 years.
I know, that's right. Donovan has already cemented himself and has made himself a place on the New York Jets. And another person who made the jump from West Bloomfield to Michigan is Makari Page, who's going to be playing for the New York Giants. I believe we do have a photo from Makari's signing day where you talked about how much potential he has and what you see for him in the future. What was Makari's mentality like in high school and college, and how would you say it's carried over to the next level?
In high school, the high school prepares the kids not only for athletics, but prepares them for academically and life outside of football. And, the transition from Makari and both he and Donovan was very seamless. Makari came in academically, had no distractions, although he came in during COVID. A tough period for most of us, all of us, I should say. Makari came in and he did what he was supposed to do academically, and then obviously limited the distractions. And on the football field, he played early on in his career and, just had great success. And, he's one of those guys that, he has a great future ahead of himself. And a lot of it is, his family. He comes from an unbelievable family and, he just followed the script. He believed in the people around him and, he executed everything, flawlessly, and that's why he's in a position, to craft out a career in the NFL. Love him to death.
I know. Makari, Donovan, both going to be doing great things in the NFL, but of course we also have to talk about Maxwell Hairston, first round draft pick Maxwell Hairston, might I add, who quietly blossomed into a standout defensive back at Kentucky. Now, it's been a while since you worked with him, since he was at West Bloomfield High School, but what can you say about Maxwell's development and the kind of player he's become?
Well, I love him. I am not shocked. I am not shocked, to say the least. That's one of the things that I got a ton of calls from NFL front office guys throughout Max's draft process, because those guys do extensive interviewing and whatnot. And, especially with me being at the collegiate level now, it's like, hey, you've known Maxwell for a long period of time. What are, some of the things that make him who he is? And first and foremost, he's a great person. We all witnessed that at the draft. Although he went the latter part of the first round, you watched him congratulate all the young men that went before him. And Maxwell's always been like that. And the big thing about Max that's so cool, and for anyone listening, just one thing I always say is don't give up on your dreams. Maxwell has a unique story in the sense that, he too, him and Donovan Edwards were middle school teammates and friends at at the middle school level. And Max was always a small guy. Basketball was his first love. And as he got older, he played football, but football wasn't on the level that basketball was. As he got older and he wasn't growing and some of the kids were growing, I remember him saying, Coach, I want to commit more to football. And I said, all right, this is the place to do it. We're the guys to help you accomplish what you need to do. And he bought into it, and Maxwell hit that growth spurt, got bigger, got really good at football, and went to Kentucky, picked Kentucky, and at the time I was still at WB, and just kind of helped guide him and his family through that process. And when he signed and we won a state championship, there was no doubt about it in my mind that he was going to be successful there and successful competing in the SEC. And to see him go first round, that's something that he always envisioned and something that I thought he can accomplish.
That's absolutely right. And I talked about this when we had Zach Hilbers on the show right after the draft, where Max's attitude and his personality is just so infectious. And you saw him congratulating all of the first-round draft picks as they were making their way out onto the stage. I mean, he's already shown the kind of player that he is, and I cannot wait to see what he's able to do as he plays for the Buffalo Bills in the NFL. Now, Ron, you're in a very unique position because you have also had some NFL experience. You had some time playing for the Miami Dolphins and even the hometown team Detroit Lions. As somebody who's played in the NFL, what do you have to say on what might be next for some of these players?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is find your role, create a role for yourself. Understand that this isn't like college. This is a business, 100% business. And, the NFL is always looking for who are the best players that can help my organization win for the various organizations the guys are on. And the advice that I told all our guys, we have, 7 guys that play for West Bloomfield are currently in the NFL. And, the one thing that we told them was, make sure you keep your head on tight. Just make sure you limit the distractions, have fun because it's still football, but, go out there and compete every day, have an open mind, compete and dream, dream big. Because usually when you dream, you can chase them and you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. And, I'm proud of all the boys that that are in the NFL and the ones that are in college, and just go keep chasing your dreams. We love them, and they know they're going to have our support.
I love that. Those are the true words of a football coach. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Ron Bellamy, the former head coach of West Bloomfield High School football, who now works as a wide receivers coach and pass game coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines, talking about his thoughts on so many West Bloomfield High School alumni making the jump into the NFL, like Donovan Edwards, Makari Page, and Maxwell Hairston. Now, I'm curious, Ron, have any of them reached out to you for advice or just to say thank you as they take this next big step into the NFL?
Yeah, I try to do a good job of keeping in touch with them daily, all of them, whether it's Matthew Judon, Khaled Kareem, Tristan Jackson, Javon Foster, and, just a new batch of guys that have entered the NFL. I talk to all of them, daily. We talk about life. Some of them are old enough now where they're having their own families and, getting married, and just trying to get them some advice from, they always looked at me as a big brother, uncle, father figure kind of guy. And, just because they're in the NFL and they're removed from high school doesn't change that. The one thing I always told our young men, was we're forever connected. We're forever connected. We're always going to be a family. I'm always love you guys. I'm gonna follow your paths, not just your professional paths, but your personal, your life endeavors. And, I love them extremely. Each and every young man and young lady, we've had a few young ladies in the program that, have entered, have played in our football program. I love them dearly, and I follow them all to this day, on the various social media sites. And, each young man kind of has his own thoughts about things and advice that they ask. And, I give them experiences that I've gone through or things that, I've heard about. But, it's their path, their journey. I told them I'm here for them, just I'm an ear, or if I need to make a phone call, that's easy. So they know that, we're always going to be connected.
I absolutely love that. You're helping these kids out every single step of the way. And I'd imagine not just the West Bloomfield alumni, but everyone who's come to University of Michigan that's going to the NFL, like Blake Corum or like J.J. McCarthy, all big names that are sure to make an impact on the NFL. Ron, I could talk to you for so long about this topic, but we are running short on time. I'm going to wrap this up with one more quick question. How proud are you, not just as a coach, but as someone who helped shape their foundation, to see all of these athletes chasing their dreams at the NFL level?
Extremely proud. I've had some great mentors in my life, some great coaches, great teachers, great, just a great community around me. And those young men had the same thing, and still do. And I'm extremely proud of them because, everything that we asked of them in high school, they did. The things that we told them they're going to be challenged with at the collegiate level, they answered to, and the cool thing about it was I have personal relationships with each person that it was bumpy, right? Nothing was totally smooth throughout their careers, but the guys face adversity and they answer to it. And, this day and age, man, a lot of people, they face adversity, they run from it, and our guys attacked it. And I think that like I said, I keep going back to the family foundation. Each one of these young men has a strong, family bond, and, they have a strong faith. And these guys, they kept that first and foremost. We always say faith, family, football. And, those guys have answered that, and that's why they're in a position playing at the highest of highest levels. And, I'm praying for them each and every day that they enjoy the experience. Like I said, it's their jobs now, but they understand that it's a blessing. Less than 1% of the population consider NFL football players, and, they're there. So now just, get to work, embrace it, and have fun, and then play it as long as you possibly can.
That's absolutely right. A lot of hard work to do, but they can celebrate right now for what they've been able to accomplish, and they have you to thank for all of that. Ron, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you for having me. Miss and love you guys, and, continue to follow you.
That's right. Lots of great excitement. Best of luck to all the athletes and for all the future athletes that are hopefully to come from West Bloomfield High School. But that is going to do it for us today here on the Splash Live. Big thank you to every single one of our guests and for the entire team here at Civic Center TV for everything that they do. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.